defense. They're very passionate about the warriors in the football team.
You know, Zimbabwe people, they are suffering a lot. Economic crisis, political crisis, family crisis, not much money, shortage of water, shortage of and let's try to put some smile on their face. Our job is try to make them happy on Sunday. It's not easy to live in Zimbabwe right now. It's not easy because what I'm following, I'm seeing it's not easy, and you get better days. But let's try to.
I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in this platform and to discuss the Constitutional Amendment Bill. I will try and do justice to the various hats that I am wearing today. The first hat I am wearing, which I will utilize in the first few portions of my presentation, is the hat of a constitutional lawyer. That's, I think, what they also wanted. They described it as a constitutional expert. So I will take that up where I speak in that capacity very briefly, and there are points which I will say that these points are coming from me in my capacity as a constitutional expert. Anyone can be a constitutional expert. I think the only difference that I have here is that my day-to-day work at the University of Zimbabwe in the law faculty is to teach lawyers, upcoming lawyers, a course that we make compulsory in our law degree. And I think two of the speakers there would be my students, Priscilla and my MP is Araba. They would go through a course called Constitutional Law. So we teach that course. And then so forth. So in that capacity, I will address the meeting. Then I will also address the meeting in my second capacity as Lovemore Madhuku, a Zimbabwean citizen. I will say a few things that will indicate that role. Then I will, in another role, the third role, I will speak for the NCA, a political party. And then that role, I will also speak on that I will indicate where I'm speaking for the NCA as the leader of that party. Then fourthly, I will speak, I found it was very popular, in my capacity as a member of Polad. So I will have those four capacities. They will be combined. And that, I think, during the interaction, it is possible for you to see that this view or this position is coming from Lovemore Madhuku, just a Zimbabwean citizen, or Lovemore Madhuku, an expert, or Lovemore Madhuku, a leader of the NCA and the NCA, Lovemore Madhuku, a member of Polad, and so forth. I will do that. Now I get to my presentation. I want us to imagine 400 years from today, and assuming that we were an audience that is 400 years from 2013. Or if you are finding very difficult to imagine an audience that is 400 years from 2013, you can imagine an audience that is 100 years away from 2013. Let's put it at 100 years or 200 years. And here I'm very serious about that position that I want us to get into. There are countries where the current citizens of those countries are 100 years away from the making of their constitution, or they are 200 years away from the making of their constitution. Imagine you were an American and you are in 2020 in the United States. You would know that your constitution was made in 1787. Is that clear? Yes. You would know that none of your politicians was involved in the making of the constitution. You would know that. You would know that all of you were not there when the constitution was made. You imagine yourself as a British citizen, and you would know that the foundations of your constitution were in 1688. But there you are, your prime minister is not part of 1688. I think if you put yourself in that position, you would know that your existence as a country is dependent on two sets of laws. There is a law that you call the Constitution. And then there are other laws. You would know that this law you call the Constitution is a higher law. It's a higher law. That need not be made every day. It forms the foundation of your society. And the principles that are put in that Constitution ought to live beyond generations. They ought to outlive generations. That's what you would know. And then you would know that when I elect a government, the governments come into place to run the affairs of state on a day-to-day basis. And they will do that by attending to the day-to-day issues of your society. And that it should be extremely rare for those that you elect for a 5-year or a 4-year term to think about amending the Constitution. That's where I start from. Do we agree with that? That is where, from an expert point of view, I want to put across the position from an expert point of view. A constitution is not a simple document that can just be amended at will. It must be somewhat sacred. Now, it doesn't mean that it cannot be changed, but simply that it must be a fairly respectable document which you ordinarily ought not to interfere with. And at the time that when you visit that constitution, you ought to realize that this document has nothing to do with the government of the day. That this document goes beyond governments of the day. That this set of rules must involve virtually all those who are interested in it. Governments come and go, but constitutions ought not to easily come and go. That's from an expert point of view. True. But the point I want to make, because when you are doing body system, but outside in a sense. Meeting, the first speaker, but someone you are getting time to get into the debate. I have made the foundations from an expert point of view. There is a difference between a constitution and any other law. Now, I want to tell you from now my experience as Lovemore Madhuku, a citizen of Zimbabwe. We have a problem with the government we have at the moment in this country, which has been running our country since 1980. They don't respect the view that a constitution is higher than other laws. They take the view that a constitution is like any other law. If I am elected, my first target is the constitution. If I want to show that I am in power, I am in government, I must do something about the constitution. If you are a minister of justice, constitution. That's the mentality of our politicians. And here I'm speaking as Lovemore Madhuku, the Zimbabwean citizen. The problem we have is a group of, and I'm not sure whether this only belongs to those who happen to be in the ruling party. It can be to all of the politicians. A constitution, we are in power. We ought to change it. Now, in 1997, a group of Zimbabweans, and I'm happy that Priscilla is here, and I pull, I think I'm a bit younger, or but Priscilla, I don't remember, and a number of people here. We came together in 1997 to found an organization which was premised on the view that a constitution is not just like any other law. That a constitution is above other laws. That the making of a constitution must be different from the making of other laws. And when you want to make a constitution, you must involve the people. And we coined the expression people-driven. It became the most popular expression in this country. More like Zama with the Polad, people-driven constitution. What did we mean by that? We meant that it's not about what the current constitution is saying, but if you want to do a constitution, involve the people. At the time we founded the organization called the NCA, the National Constitutional Assembly, then it was civic. So that was the party. We said The constitution we had was a Lancaster House constitution with a very strong leader. You know him. He's late. He rests in peace. We don't want to actually demonize him. But it's not by former NCA. Pangapane mtungamiri akakasimba. Aizi Robert Mugabe. Aitotaura kuti imi kana tiri mupower basa redu nderekugadzira mutemo including the constitution. Akangama with people driven. Here I know address a meeting kuzanu headquarters. And I know these things. When we get to research and put them across, I know Mugabe's speeches, very brilliant men, but they were very clear. Mugabe was clear that we, those who are in government, kukutonga kudi kanisika kwanisi kuchinja chi constitution. So he would go to a rally. Zanu-PF people will say, that was in 2000, vachaenda kuparliament, pakafoma opposition ikatora masitsi akawanda. Muna 2000, 57 teaching. Then vanhu vanga varuza zana yaramba ichimboita masitsi akawanda 120 chichi zvaiitwa kudhara. Vaingoita 1 or 2 vaita opposition 3 people. Dongo pamwe nani one time. Then vanhu voenda kuna Mugabe vakuti nzvimbo dzedu dzakatorwa neopposition. Mugabe akati aiwa zvinezi we will amend the constitution. We are going to create a senate. Aitara ari kuchiredzi kwamune rally ikoko. And so open like that. Achitobva kuchiredzi by the time helicopter yake yakudzika panapa muHarare muno. Minister wake wejustice Pabo ainzi Chinamasi anenge akutoendesa amendment yechi the constitution. Is that clear? Mugabe is addressing a meeting of ZANU-PF politicians who are complaining that we have lost and you have won. Says no, we will introduce it on a senate. Achitaura uko kwangu sina chiko isi messages that I can say WhatsApp. I don't know why shana nechi why don't tell you already. Kana uri minister of Mugabe justice. President vatara vari kuchiredzi kuti auda kuamenda. Wotanga kudraft a bill rechi rekuamenda constitution. Within 4 or 5 days, Panakapatwani gazetted amendment number 9. Apa asaina paninga asaina na Joshua Ngomoti chaita unit 1987 amendment number 9. So every amendment, here we are on the philosophy that a constitution can just be done or undone as long as we are in government. This position has not changed. And I think that's my feeling. We are doing our best to Polad. Do mix up. Very clear-minded. We are doing our best to Polad to take advantage of every power. Kuti vasiyane nefunga iyoyo. Tuzwana. Tikuti kuna ED. Whether we succeed or not succeed, tutaza tukuita iwo. Tikuti kuna ED. Siyana nenyaya ya Mugabe yekuti constitution inoitwa paunodira. Is that clear? We are saying to the government that is there now, please undo this mentality. Undo this mentality that you can make or unmake a change. That's what we are currently seized with that. So please, let me say this. As an expert, a constitution ought not be easy to amend. That's from an expert point. If you then decide to amend it, it must not be the business exclusively of the government of the day. It must go beyond the present parliament, involve as much as possible. And that's what I would say on that. Then I think let me get on and quickly look at this process here. Now I've said that when the NCA was formed as a civic organization, we succeeded in convincing President Mugabe's government, but with a lot of force, a lot of sacrifice, to say to the constitution, Inovakuan, and so forth. Now Priscilla, Nevamo and 5, Muswa Tagaita a referendum, Muna 2000. Dova Katanga Kusumba, Vajisungi was a referendum. I think Umuaji Aushanda wa Idiana is Chris Batis. I think it was part of your idea. The Kurum office here, ED, another Christopher Batis. Nana Priscilla, they were about 6. They were arrested but time yet campaign for this. Mugabe had to be forced, asking Kuda to accept that there would be a referendum. Are you clear on this? The law in 2000 did not provide for a referendum. Parliament had to be convened to pass the referendums bill, which became the Referendums Act Muna 2000, because of the pressure coming from the NCA and other groups. Is that clear? Kutimatia zvipo mtemo unoti tikada hakuna zvakadaro. Nyangwe zvisiri pamutemo zviisei pamutemo kuti constitution inobva kupi kuvanhu. And President Mugabe had to accept. But that was not after pasina ma-arrest, pasina kurowa. Every time on Twitter, ndona vanhu vanenge vachingondiwanzira vakamboisa picture yandakarohwa vachinodzayo hausina kurohwa iwo wakangorusaidi kwezana akarohwa nditsvangirai. I mean, that's what they say. So I don't respond to those things, obviously. Because I'm talking about the life of the struggle in this country to make the point that a constitution ought not be simply the word of the ruling politicians. May I leave that point? Remember, we are to understand it. Chairperson, my hair was not chair or director, I think director. But my hair, if Tiripanaba take us back, can I sing a bill? I don't pass. I don't wait. I know, and that's the truth of Polad. I will, I have told you that I was speaking all this. So what we are doing there, I listen to what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, my citizens. Can I have a conversation guy? That's a great detail and do democracy at
Okay, thank you. I think I must make it clear to you people. I must make it clear. I will not be pushed not to say what I want to say. Yes. And I think that I am going to say what I want to say. Yes. And then you have an opportunity to say you don't want to, you have your own views. Yes. I cannot come here. I mean, they invited me to express my opinions, not your opinion. All right, so let me make the point. I said the NCA is now a political party. It has become a political party, which is in Polad. It has pushed its positions
because that would dictate the young people, we need to be able to respect the processes. And we cannot build a country that don't respect processes. The red t-shirt. But you are going to get a chance, comrade, to respond. To go it's our respect. Thank you, comrade. Thank you, comrade. Let's be quiet. Let's respect each other and respect processes. Thank you very much. And because Vagagarabasa, this conversation, thank you very much. Prof, can you?
I will continue. What I'm saying is that we want Zimbabweans to be able to appreciate the point that no government of the day must be allowed to play around with the constitution. That's what I'm saying. And that when we push for that, we use different platforms for that position. And when I choose my own platform to push that position, you can choose your own platform as long as we are pushing in that direction. And I'm insisting that we will be doing that within Polad. Now, let me move on. Yes, I need that. I think it's non-negotiable. Comrades and friends.
Hello?
My position is clear. I have been invited here. I am not just a constitutional expert. I am a politician. I am a political actor. I am a political player. So I will not change my political direction. If I come across an audience that is hostile, I am not supposed to keep addressing it. I should not force myself on you. If you don't want to listen to me, it's up to the organizers. But I cannot be here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what I want to hear. And don't underestimate, I've told you I have a long history, like I've said, 97. We may have different political views, but I'm quite strong. I'll maintain my position in the face of anyone. Whether you bring the army here or anyone, you can shout 1,000,000 times, but I'm not going to stop making my point that I believe is beneficial to this country. All right, I will just finish up. The point that I wish to now make, if you look at the proposed amendments that have been put across, I'll just pick one example of the amendments which clearly cannot be accepted to be part of our constitution. It is an amendment related to the judiciary. Every society is based on the notion of an independent judiciary. Judges must be independent. So you look at the way they are appointed and the way they remain in office. The current provision requires judges to go through an interview, which is a public interview, except for the Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and the Judge President. That was by amendment number 1. But that amendment actually came against Zimbabweans, never took the kind of processes we are taking. And amendment number 1 passed without public involvement, which was taking away public interviews. Then now, the proposal requires judges who are supposed to retire at the age of 70 mandatorily to retire if you are in the Supreme Court or Constitutional Court, to retire at the age of 75. But you don't just retire at 75. Every year from 70, you will submit a certificate of medical fitness to the president. It is the president who will say, if the opinion says it's right, the president has to accept the certificate for the judge to continue in office, but only for a year. Then again, go down, 5 years. Zapera. The president may say you are not medically fit, so you don't continue. You are medically fit, you continue. Now that is obviously unacceptable, isn't it? That is in the bill. There is no reason for such an amendment. There is no country that has such an amendment, such a provision now in Southern Africa. Everyone accepts that when you appoint a judge, then you leave them until vital compulsory retirement. The other one, the president can now promote my judges from High Court to Supreme Court or from Supreme Court to Constitutional Court without a public chief interview. That again is unacceptable. Is that clear? Priscilla will give you other provisions, and I think Paul will do that like jealous. We can go through each of them, but I would suggest that let us for now, in relation to amendment number 2, not concentrate on the specific provisions. Let's fight one issue for now, that let's not allow the government to proceed with amendment number 2. Let's allow an overall discussion. Yes, some amendments we would want in the Constitution for purposes of making the next elections in 2023 freer and fairer. So you don't allow the government of the day to propose amendments which do not address the things that we believe ought to be addressed. No, you didn't want to hear what we are discussing in Polad. We have already put across in Polad a list of our proposals. We have a document that will, to those who will receive it, which lists no less than, I think, 31 areas of our electoral law, some of them which will require constitutional amendments. I can give you an example. The bill proposes that you remove the running mate clause, and then in the place of the running mate clause for succession, you then say that we will get the president who takes over from the political party of the president. Wanga report. So November, we got ED from nowhere. He came from a meeting here. Yes, we are saying from nowhere as a nation. He came from ZANU-PF. But a political party ought not to be the interest of all of us. Now, it applies not just to ZANU-PF. I know there are succession issues that are going MDC Alliance. I was.
Order. Thank you.
Alright. The point I'm making. We must not put in our constitution. We must not put in the constitution of the country a provision that is dependent on what happens in a political party. That's the point I'm making. We must never say in our constitution of Zimbabwe that if a sitting president dies or resigns, we will wait to hear what the political party of that president is saying. No, that is not the best way of running a country. Political parties remain the prisons of those people who are in those political parties. But the country is run on the basis of either an election, by the people on direct election, or you have parliament as an institution sitting as an electoral college. Where political parties have influence, they must do the influence within parliament, but never to allow a political party to sit there and say, I'm giving you this president and so forth. That's the point I'm making. And on that point, I'm making it right across the world. That's what they do. So my point is this. This is an opportunity for Zimbabweans to unite, regardless of where you are coming from. To say no to the government of the day tampering with the Constitution. But we agree that the Constitution must be amended in those areas where we want to improve our democracy. It must be amended in those areas where we want to deepen our democracy. It must be amended in those areas where we want to open up space. We in the NCA have so many places in the Constitution we would want opened up before 2023, so that we have a free election, we have a fair election. We did say previously, and Priscilla will confirm that, we have discussed the situation where how do we run an election, a presidential election? Who appoints the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission? These things would require an amendment of the Constitution, because as it stands, the President appoints the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. We want a conversation around that. Is this the thing that we still want to see in the Constitution? So if we don't want it, then there must be an amendment of the Constitution. So you cannot say no to an amendment of the Constitution. We are saying no to an amendment initiated by the government of the day. But yes to an amendment that is dominated by the people. That is my point.
Thank you so much. We can quickly invite Mr. Mawaliri.